Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
All right, everybody, welcome to CXR's eXpert Tease. I'm Chris Wick, president of Career Crossroads, and I am bringing to you this rapid-fire delivery of industry leaders and experts. Now, the idea is that each week we're going to host a guest who will share with us lessons that they've learned, their biggest victories, their failures, or walk us through step-by-step how to do something challenging in our space. So the kicker is that this is just a 15-minute talk, hence the tease aspect of the segment title, Expertise. You see what we did there. Now, each of the sessions will have a focused topics that were voted on by the industry in a survey Career Crossroads did earlier in the year. These were areas that leaders said were big concerns for them moving forward into 2021. For instance, college recruiting, automation, DE&I, ethics, et cetera. It goes on and on. So we'd encourage everyone to add questions as we go through this to the chat area of our broadcast throughout our talk. And at the end of the segment, we'll take a question or two if you've got them, and if we've got the time. And then we'll move the rest of the conversation online to the new Talent Talks Open and Public Exchange. You can find that at www.cxr.works/talent-talks. So today, I am excited to kick off the weekly series with the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, specifically on the challenge of increasing female representation in leadership roles. And to do that, we have invited Terra Doyle, the people and culture leader at Roche, and who we've been friends with for quite some time. So Terra, welcome, and thank you for being our first expert.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So talk to us about why and how Roche has taken up a banner and sort of pushed forward to put more women into key leadership roles.
Yeah, absolutely. And the journey started quite a while ago, even prior to me joining the organization. So if you look back in 2011, they took a hard look at what they deemed to be their senior leadership, which for us is director level and above. And just wanted to take a look at the representation because they didn't feel that they really had exactly what they were looking for in terms of spirited discussion and outside-in perspective and things that come when you have diverse pools of talent and role. At that time, sadly, our senior level leadership for female representation was at 11%, which is incredibly low. Since that time, of course, a lot of factors have come into play, and I'll talk to you about what those have been. But now very proud that as of last year, we ended at 38% wow. At our senior leader levels. And if you really even now take a look at top down, so the most executive level, which still hovers over 30%, minus one, we're close to 50%. So it's been a substantial journey and stride and the right way to go. And the really cool part of it is about, these kind of focus areas and elements, they can be taken really more broadly across all areas of diversity, right? You talk about all sorts of, whether it's veteran hiring or people of color, but it really conceptually, they apply across all groups. But it was something that they took a look and said, hey, look, we want to make a focused effort. We're going to focus in these key pillars. It has been a journey and will continue to be something that we focus on. So I'll go ahead and get started by maybe just sharing some of the things that we found that were really important. And I'll put them in three main pillars or categories. The first is commitment from the business, because you can't get anywhere if you don't actually have buy-in to what your strategy is and the importance of it. For us, we did that in a variety of different ways. One was to create, our business resource groups, some call them affinity groups, but basically like-minded individuals that really can help sponsor and develop and provide a safe forum for groups to get together. And the Women in Leadership Business Resource Group is the largest that Roche has. In fact, prior to me even joining the company, when I was doing my diligent research on Roche as an organization, what I kept talking about in all of these magazines and the articles and the awards that the organization had won, kept talking about their Women in Leadership initiative. So, then it turned into a whole branding element, which is a separate conversation I'm sure you'll have. So I think that it had tremendous impact and continues to really provide a lot of value to the organization. Secondly is also focusing in on all levels. So, when you talk to the leaders, I think sometimes there is a likelihood to say, great, well, let's focus on bringing in some early in career talent and you develop and you move, which absolutely is a strategy I believe everyone should have. But it takes a while, right, to climb that proverbial corporate ladder. And so not only do you need to have that, but you need to have intentional focus and efforts on, all different levels, mid-level individual contributors to manager or even senior level. So I think it's also a commitment to really ensure that you've got all those areas covered. Now, I think you need to take it in bite-sized steps, and remember, this is an 8-year journey for us, so we've kind of developed along the way. And last, but certainly not least from the business, is sponsorship programs. We have found that also to be tremendously beneficial. And sponsorship could mean anything from, hey, we're going to take a group of, a small group of individuals and quite literally bring them up the ranks, or maybe it's we're just going to sponsor their development in these areas. I think there's some cautionary points there, even on the talent discussion that we had with Career Crossroads, was it last week or the week before? People talked about the formalities. Sometimes if you have too much structure, to a degree, they could implode. Like how do you actually have someone opt in? Or is there just, I'm going to hand pick and now there's a selection differential? So I think companies have to do what works for them. But if you have something that at least provides an avenue for, again, this cohort or sponsorship of development, it just really shows that the business has buy-in. So those are some of the things that we focused on from the business standpoint. Secondly, I would say engagement in the community, just as important for you to be seen as a thought leader, whether it be in your industry, right? So we're in biotechnology space that we've got really strong leaders in the business. And of course, with this initiative, now we have strong female leaders in representation. But in addition to that, there's also a give back element. So, I've always said from the TA side, it's not always what you want. Like we want to hire, we want you to join us, but it's what can we give back that's just as important. So we really have allowed and really helped to promote and engage our leaders to get in the business and be board members, be active members of like the WIL board, which, here, it's a national group, but really big representation, Indianapolis, that now we're seen as kind of the go-to. So now people that may not even be in our industry might say, hey, I think that they know what they're talking about. This looks like a great place that is development of talent. And I think I want to be a part of that. And just opens up conversations in a more organic way. That has been tremendously helpful. Plus, as an organization, we have a very large give back culture. So just from the personal side, that has been tremendous. So again, that's the second pillar for us. And lastly, is good old fashioned talent attraction strategies. So it's really going in with an intent to make a difference by focusing in on the talent that you want to hire. So whether that's, again, certain networks that you associate with, where you go to post for jobs, how you build your pipelines and your networks. If you just kind of this whole post and pray methodology just doesn't work, you really have to go where the talent sits to be able to make the impact. Otherwise, you're talking about just like little incremental, percentage points here or there, but to make a 300+% move, you really have to do it differently. So it's good old fashioned going back to basics. So the only other thing I would say on that is using data. So for us, it's really important to also bring data to the table, because it's one thing to say, here's what we want, but what also does the market have, and where do you have to go to get it? And if you want to represent the patients you serve, what does that patient population look like? What is the talent? How are we represented? Now, how do all three of those work together? And how do we specific target to make the difference? So those are some of the things that have been helpful for us. And again, I think that we'll continue to grow, and now we'll continue to use these in other areas of diversity as well.
I love that. I love baby steps. I love data and the give back culture, right, that you guys are supporting. Let me ask you, if I were at an organization and we didn't have anything set up yet, and this was something we wanted to do, whether it be in the area of equity for females in leadership, or whether we move it to the veterans, like how would this be something we'd get off the ground? What would be the one thing you'd tell me to sort of get this started?
First of all, I would say don't recreate the wheel. Like there are so many great things happening out there. So it's all about who you talk to and know. So make friends, get to know people, find out what's working well, and then see what concepts work for you. And I think you have to be aligned with your business. Again, whether it's a very large business with a number of stakeholders, or whether you're just a smaller organization that may only have 20 people, make sure you're all headed in the right direction and you know the why behind the what. So if you align with that, you can build a strategy and don't try to boil the ocean at once. just do take those baby steps, but make sure that you know how to measure and determine whether or not you're achieving ultimately what you want to.
I love that. That's sound. And if you've got to get stakeholders involved, right? And I heard you mention that, right? Getting these leaders involved. What's one tip that you would give to our listeners about getting the stakeholders included?
It's really showing them the impact that it has. I keep going back and thinking about a Harvard Business Review article that talked about talent. And when you have like a slate of candidates, and you've got, one, in this case, one female on that panel, there's a very high likelihood that that individual is not going to be hired. But when you up the game and you bring 2 or 3, that can make the impact. But the impact becomes, what do they do in that role? So it shows how, again, the difference of thought and what they bring to the table, and the difference in performance levels, and also engagement with the broader community and your outside the organization within. Like, that's what makes a difference to business leaders. They don't want to do it just because it's the cool thing to do, or I'm checking a box, but it really has business impact. So if you're able to bring in what that business impact is, normally they're like, I'm on board, let's go. I'm ready. Tell me what you need and we'll get there together.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. All right, so we've got time for one question from the audience. I'm going to pick this one here. We've got from Brian Schaefer. So it says, like Roche, we at Vail Resorts, we're tackling gender diversity in the last few years. Program Powder, nicely done, Brian. Women in leadership. So with 2020 being a year where other DE&I topics like BLM, what are the pressures that you're now feeling from the business on having HR and talent acquisition to tackle that subject?
Yeah, so the challenges become how you do it for the right reasons, and not just because there's pressure coming from other places. Let me be clear, the pressure is valid. It's just sad if you're not already on that journey, and that's a part of it. So I think it's really, again, tying together so you don't seem like you're reactive and doing it just because, but we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and it provides this to us as a company, and this to the population that we're serving, and this to the people that are interested in coming on that journey with us. And again, if you don't connect those dots and it's not organic, it's not real. And now all of a sudden your inclusion is going to be a big problem, and you're going to be right back to the drawing board again.
Well, the authenticity, being genuine. I love it. So Terra, I want to thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. I'll just remind everybody that this is a weekly segment held every Thursday, 12 p.m. Central, and you can register on the website at cxr.works. Next week, on October 8th, we're going to meet live with Aaron Mattis. He is the CEO of Paradox, and he's going to talk about what he would tell his younger self about taking on automation and AI in the recruiting space, which should be a lot of fun. So until then, we hope we'll see everyone online at www.cxr.works/talent talks. Thank you so much, Terra.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram at careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.